In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, it is Rookie Watch Volume 8. We are going to share our thoughts on Jared McCain and Stephon Castle having back-to-back strong performances. We're also going to talk about Kyshawn George, Isaiah Collier getting his first opportunity, Zaccharie Risacher versus Buzelis, which didn't live up to the hype, and of course the Memphis Grizzlies rookies, who are playing a pivotal role in the injured Memphis Grizzlies' success. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my co-host, which happens to be my brother, James. And before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And I also wanted to mention the Locked On newsletter. Your favorite team has a newsletter. It is the one-stop shop for all the coverage of your favorite team and daily information. So check it out at lockedondaily.com. It will be delivered right to your inbox so you can start your day with the all-new and free Locked On newsletter. And also, if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'm not sure what is taking so long, but please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode, because we're coming at you 5 days a week. We are your source for NBA draft coverage and, of course, the rookies. All right. Rookie Watch Volume 8. It's a lot of basketball this weekend between watching all the freshman prospects. And then, of course, we're still doing the NBA guys. All right, yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this rookie class. You're starting to see guys get more opportunities. Is there anybody that's surprised you so far?
I don't want to say somebody has surprised me. Guys are taking advantage of their opportunities when those opportunities do come. I think the more surprising thing has been, I guess, the lack of play for Risacher. We've talked about that in the past. But as far as like the guys that I didn't like, or not didn't like, weren't as high on, are getting opportunities. But the guys that I like, they are showing, flashes of why I like them. But we'll start with a guy who I was kind of on the fence on. And even then, I guess you could say I was one of his haters. But Jared McCain was hooping, and he seized the opportunity against the Charlotte Hornets the other night. He had 27 points, I believe. Tyrese Maxey is out. Paul George is on a minute restriction. He caught a Hornets team that isn't very, good. Seth Curry was guarding him like the stars aligned, and he took full advantage of the opportunity. So he found a lot of success in the mid-range. I've questioned McCain's ability to finish at the basket. He did have a really nice finish on Brandon Miller. That looked great. And then him making mid-range jumpers, him being able to create his own jump shot, him being able to knock down threes opened up easier layups for him. He had to finish on Taj Gibson, who's my age, but he showed flashes and he got to his spots, especially at the foul line. I didn't doubt him as a shooter, but most importantly, I think that the game is starting to slow down for him. And in that game against Charlotte, Paul George was on the minutes restriction. Who knows what Eric Gordon is doing? Kyle Lowry's old. Like he made shots and he had the confidence knowing that I am the man on the court, and he played extremely well. So shout out to Jared McCain. I think there's at one point he played like the announcer said 45 minutes, like actual minutes straight, and he took well advantage of it.
Yeah, he definitely made the most of his opportunity. The Sixers' injuries have been a blessing in disguise for him. I don't think he would have had this opportunity. I shouldn't say I don't think. I know he would not have had this opportunity if George and Maxey were healthy. I mean, Philly's without Embiid. They have him listed out for suspension, but you and I know he's still not ready, and they just activated him. So his suspension occurs while he's ramping up. But Maxey's out with a hamstring injury. Like you said, Paul George is on a minutes restriction, and he was only 6 of 18 from the floor, and he didn't get a chance to play in overtime. And the Sixers were running their offense through Jared McCain in overtime. He finished with 27 points, was 10 of 18 from the floor. He had a big stop against LaMelo. They put him on the island. He got a stop against LaMelo. But like you said about the mid-range, he was 7 of 10 inside the three-point line. So I thought that he played well. He's made the most of his opportunities. And now Nick Nurse, obviously he trusts him.
Mm-hmm.
So now once they get healthy, he should be able to get a little bit more playing time, because the playing time was sporadic at the start of the season, and that was with George out. But I think that he cemented a role in the rotation.
Him slowing down has made the game a lot easier for him. I think in preseason he was moving just way too fast, and he was trying to barrel in for layups, and the paint was just so congested. But him being 6'3" and being able to get like a mid-range off, that's going to be a game changer for him, because I'm 100% buying him as a catch and shoot guy. I know he didn't shoot the ball particularly well in summer league or preseason, but I'm buying him as a shooter. But like, I think he is finding, or at least that last game, he found out, okay, I need to be a 2-level scorer. The layups will come, but I need to establish the middle and the 3-point line first. And then like that opens up these layups opportunities for me, because then he doesn't have to do all the contorting that he was doing in the preseason trying to get layups off, because he's a below the rim finisher.
Yeah, and the game slowing down to me has a lot to do with not feeling like you have to rush and be productive in short minutes. Like you said, he played 45 minutes straight. He can look at the bench and see, all right, Tyrese is in street clothes. PG's not playing. All right, I can play my game. I can relax, and I don't have to worry about a quick hook. So shout out to Jared McCain for making the most of his opportunity. All right, let's switch gears. Stephon Castle, the guy that you are extremely high on. He got a chance to start with Sohan out. And in his second start, which was against the Blazers, I believe.
Yes.
He scored 14 points. It was 6-11 from the floor. He had 6 assists, and he led all starters in plus minus. And then he had another good game against the Jazz. And actually, coming into that Jazz game, he was only shooting 12% from 3, 12.5. I don't want to short you some points. But he made 3 of 7. And his third start had his best game, 23 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. But they lost.
It's crazy.
They lost to the Jazz. So what are your thoughts on Castle? I mean, I already know your thoughts, but I'm going to let you share your thoughts on Castle.
Listen.
But the question is, do you think he stays in the starting lineup once Vassell returns? Because to me, he played well.
Well, Vassell played last game, but I believe he's going to be on the minutes restriction for a while.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's going to end up starting. That's going to be kind of interesting, because, Vassell can shoot. Victor needs spacing. Castle, even though he did knock down 3 threes, he shot he made his first 3 threes. I don't think they were all 3-4 feet behind the line. He knocked down his first 3 threes. That's a positive sign, but he's still not shooting the ball well from 3, obviously, because, he started off so far in the hole. But will he start? I don't know. I think Castle, regardless of if he starts or not, he needs 24 minutes a game, and he's playing well. Again, his last 4 games, I have him at 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 44% field goals. The 3 ball is still extremely low, but he's showing flashes. The 3 threes were good, and that's cool, but they're putting Walker Kessler on you, which means you can't shoot, right? Mm-hmm. And we're putting a big on you because we were clogging up all the space, and we're going to stand back and play free safety. He did make the adjustment, and he didn't settle for those same threes, even though he did make some in the first half. He took Kessler off the dribble, hit him with the new slang is the deceleration. I call it the slow step, because Kyrie Irving been doing it for a while. But he hit him with a couple plays. He was really, really good. Like I said, I'm buying. I think the jump shot is going to be a work in progress. But if the jump shot is going in, I think he is a 25-5 guy at some point in his career. So, yeah, Castle, I mean, that's my guy, man. I'm not going to – what do you think I was going to say about him?
No, I mean, I knew that you were going to have a lot of things to say. I knew you were waiting on this episode, but he's played well as a starter. He's averaging 14 points a game, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, a little under 2 steals per game. And so, the game against Portland, they won. That was a good game. Losing to the Jazz, even though it was a 1-point loss, that was, I don't want to say there's big wins and big losses early in the season, but that is if you're San Antonio, that is a win that you want to pencil in the calendar because Utah's.
It is, but at the same time, when you look at the roster on paper, is the Spurs roster when healthy better than the Jazz roster when healthy?
Yeah, I think
is it?
I think the Spurs have different expectations. They want to be trending in the right direction. They still, I think there's a identity issue there. Like, you brought in veterans, but at the same time, you want to show progress because Victor's putting like pressure on them in a sense to show progress. But then at the same time, I don't know if it's the most beneficial for them. While Utah is all in on, hey, you got a bump on your knee. All right, you're going to sit out a couple games.
Well, here's the thing. Victor is putting pressure on them, and shout out to Victor. Great talent, but he's shooting 43% from the field at 7'5".
Yeah.
So it's like he can say all the right things about we got to do this and we got to do that, but he's got to be better offensively.
And I think Victor has taken a step back this year. I watched every single possession for his last 3 games, and he's just not always sprinting the floor on offense. And when he doesn't sprint the floor, he is being the trailer and he is launching too many threes just inside the logo. Like, I counted like 4 times in the last 3 games where he didn't run the floor and he just waited, and then he caught the ball at least 3 feet behind the top of the key and shot a deep 3. All right, when we return, we're going to talk about Kyshawn George, who is making the most of his opportunity because the Wizards are not afraid to play 3 rookies, and they've been competitive. Like, the score may not always show it, but I feel like the Wizards guys are competing. So we're going to talk about Kyshawn George and then Isaiah Collier, who finally got a chance to get on the floor. Before we get into the second segment, let's talk about FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. And right now, if you are a new customer and you bet $5, you can get $150 in bonus bets if you win. So when you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more. And it is on the same page where you place your bets. And that's because the new FanDuel Sports app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it is all in one place. So just visit FanDuel.com to get started today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet, and that is at FanDuel.com. All right, second segment. Kyshawn George had a pretty good performance against the Orlando Magic. He had 15 points, was 5 of 9 from the floor, made 4 of 8 from 3. He had 7 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. He played 34 minutes before fouling out. What are your thoughts on Kyshawn's performance?
Listen, man, I was high on Kyshawn George. Just for the first time listeners, I don't want to be like tooting my own horn or anything like that. But I was high on Kyshawn George pre-draft, and he found himself in a great spot where he gets free reign to play basketball. He shot 17 threes against Golden State a few nights ago. That's crazy, but he hit 6, and on paper that comes out to be like 37% from 3, and you'll take 37% from 3. But I really like Kyshawn George. He is knocking threes down, and he's over his last 5 games, right? 14.6 rebounds, 2 assists. That's well ahead of schedule from even what I had as a fan of Kyshawn George. I just think that he is, because of the team, Bilal is handling the ball, Poole is handling the ball, Bub is handling the ball. Shout out to Bub, 10, 5, and 5 this season.
Mm-hmm.
I was high on Bub too. Again, for the first time listeners, not patting myself on the back, but Kyshawn George is playing extremely well. My only complaint is, I guess not complaint, but it's early. I want to see him get to the rim more because he can handle the ball and put the ball on the ground more. There's just not very many ball handling opportunities in that starting five because somebody has to stand in the corner. Somebody has to space the floor because those three guys are handling the ball and they're playing well. So, I mean, he's figuring out. Maybe I need to watch the game in its entirety and see how he is as far as like with the second string of guys who's handling the ball. But I want to see more ball handling opportunities for Kyshawn George because I think he has the ability to put the ball on the ground and pass and create and make plays and pick and roll. But right now, he found his jump shot. He's shooting the ball well over his last 5 games. So shout out to Kyshawn George. And he's learning that once the 3 ball falls, that opens up other things. So he had to play against Orlando. He had knocked down, I think, 2-3 threes. It was a transition 3. He could have settled for the 3. He had Tristan Da Silva guard him. He's raised up like he was going to shoot the 3, got to the basket and finished. So I'm a big Kyshawn George fan, and he's balling, man.
Yeah, he's getting minutes for sure. The Wizards are kind of tinkering with their starting lineups. In the last game, he started over Jonas V. And, I mean, the Wizards are dealing with some injuries. I saw Bub I know he left the game with an injury. Looks like somebody fell into his knee. I don't know how serious it is, but I think George is going to have plenty of opportunities to put himself in the all-rookie team discussion. Over his last 4 games, 14 points, 6.8 rebounds, 2.3 assists, a steal, and he's making 3 threes per game. Did you see the story where he was talking trash to Draymond?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I forgot to mention that.
That was funny. So for those that aren't aware, Kyshawn George, I guess he must have told Draymond Green that he can't shoot. And so Draymond said, well, when you were in elementary school, you were watching me winning championships and people were thinking the same thing. So I thought that was pretty funny. But let's move on to Isaiah Collier. Isaiah Collier finally got an opportunity to get on the court. He had 7 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block and 1 steal in 25 minutes in the Jazz win over the Spurs. Now, he was 3 of 9 from the floor. Every shot he missed was a 3. He was 0 of 6 from 3, and he missed 3 of his 4 free throws. We all know that shooting has been like the biggest concern for Collier, which is weird. When he entered his freshman year, I knew shooting was going to be like a major issue. I had watched him shoot in Vegas once, and he wasn't efficient just on catch and shoot standstill threes from, I think he was shooting 10 threes, 5 spots, and he wasn't efficient from the floor. And I have a theory. If you're shooting from the 5 spots on the floor and you're shooting 10 shots and you go around the world and back, that's 100 threes. And I always say divide the number you make in half, and that could give you an idea of what you would shoot in a game setting. So if a guy makes 80 out of 100 threes, then he's probably a 40% shooter or can be around that range. Isaiah Collier was low. He was low. And like it was pretty accurate. It was probably like he made half of his attempts, which put him like around 26% from 3. But then he started to show some strides after he came back from I don't know if it was a wrist or a hand injury last year. He started making threes, and then now he just is struggling. Like he can't make shots from deep, but he got an opportunity to play. What did you see from Isaiah Collier that you liked?
You saw the good in Isaiah Collier, which is getting downhill, penetrating, finding guys. He hit, I believe, Walker Kessler on a dump off. Like you saw the good rim pressure. Yeah, he did that, and he got to the line, twice. He didn't make the free throws. I mean, you'll take 7, 6, and 4 in 24 minutes, but he didn't make a jump shot. He did have a nice layup. He finished on Zach Collins. He ran Zach Collins over. A couple of nice plays, but like I had mentioned when I was talking about Castle, they had Kessler guarding Castle. Guess who was guarding Isaiah Collier? Wemby, right? So now you got 7'12" standing on the foul line. Like the whole entire offense is blown up because I don't have to guard your point guard. And he's not going to drive on Wemby because you're going to lose that battle. So he has to, and it's only his second game, but I think he is an NBA player. The jump shot is going to, and it sounds as elementary as it is, but like the jump shot is going to determine how successful he's going to be. Because he gets downhill. And I believe getting downhill and him finding guys is a great asset to have. But in the half court, you just can't blur by everybody. And once we figure out we can put our big on you, and I don't know how USC was listing him at 6'5" last year. That's crazy. He's like 6'2". But so it's like we put a big on you, then we blow up everything. So, but this was a good sign for him. And before we move on to the next person, I do want to shout out Kyle Filipowski. He found some success, is finding success at the elbow. There should be minutes for him. And I think he's a better basketball. I know he's hurt, and hopefully youngster gets better soon and figures it out. But he's better than Taylor Hendricks. Like,
offensively, he's more advanced. But defensively is where the Jazz really like Hendricks, because even the games that he was playing early in the season, they had him guarding Luka. They had him guarding, all over the place. So I think if he can defend and knock down corner threes, then that's going to be his role. It's like a 3-and-D format.
Power forward?
Yeah,
I get it. But I just did want to shout out Filipowski. He's finding success. They're moving him at the elbow. Never really doubted Filipowski's passing ability. I think he's going to have a good season for Utah.
All right, when we return, we're going to wrap it up with Risacher versus Matas Buzelis. Buzelis had a few kind words to say about Risacher in the pre-draft process, and it was one-sided in their first NBA battle. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies rookies. And then Zaccharie versus Donovan Clingan. Didn't live up to the hype. All right, before we wrap up this episode, I want to talk about Game Time, which is my favorite app when it comes to purchasing tickets. Game Time makes it easier to buy tickets, whether it's for sporting events, concerts, comedy, theaters, and more. I love that they have all-in pricing on the app. Toggle the feature, and it will show you the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You can also get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. And Game Time has the lowest price guarantee. If you find something cheaper, they will credit you 110% of the difference. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and use the redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. All right, last segment. Zaccharie Risacher, the number one pick, versus Matas Buzelis. The reason why this game was on, what's so funny, man?
It's just funny because, I wish Risacher was the product of an AAU system and he was from, I don't know, Atlanta, Georgia, because he would definitely be making a bigger deal out of this than what he is doing. Shout out to Risacher. Go ahead, Ralph.
All right, so let me give the background. And I actually liked when Matas was trying to, Matas believed that he was better than Risacher. He challenged him one-on-one in the pre-draft process. Now, we all know the game isn't played one-on-one, but Matas was trying to build his draft stock. He was trying to let people know, give me an opportunity. If you put me on the floor with him in a matchup, I'm going to show you that I'm better than him. There's a lot of people that thought he was just talking crazy. They were saying, he's playing on a G League team that only won like 3 games, but Risacher was playing in a tougher French league and producing. Risacher just, didn't say anything, went on about his business. Matas even tried to call him out, saying, I know his agents don't want to see that. So they had a chance to go head to head, and Matas had an opportunity to cash the check that he wrote.
Man. Did he have an opportunity? He didn't really play.
Well, he didn't get an opportunity. Well, he played 5 minutes, and he missed 2 free throws. He missed 2 free throws in 5 minutes. Risacher scored 17 points, made 6 of 14 from the floor. Now, he was 1 of 6 from 3. However, Matas got the win.
Did he get the win?
Well, his team got the win. Chicago beat Atlanta 125-113. But I wanted to highlight that because Matas was talking big cash in the pre-draft process, and he had to watch Risacher play. He had good seats.
I mean, you can't necessarily control your minutes in a sense, especially in Chicago, because I don't know what Chicago's
What, they
doing.
have the same record as the Hawks,
That's true.
or a game or two difference.
That's true. But I mean, at the same time, like whatever position Madas plays, there hasn't been minutes available like how Risacher has played.
But now he
So
did when he got an opportunity. We talked about it in the previous episode. When Madas had an opportunity to play, he did make the most of it, which is something that we've been saying about these rookies. When you get in, you got to do something. And he had a game where he had 13 points and 9 rebounds against the Mavericks. Now, they lost by a dub, but then he came back the next day.
Yeah, he played 17 minutes the next game against the Timberwolves, and he had 2.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, Manas is shooting 29% on the season. He's supposed to be a shooter, and I'm not trying to beat any dead horses. I don't buy him as the shooter that he's projected to be. I don't buy the ball handling. But, he did play well in that game against the Mavs. I just think it's funny that, I'm sure it was on his mind that, I called him out. This is a head-to-head matchup, and he didn't get to play. I'm not blaming Manas for that. There's just not any minutes for him right now. But Risacher did play. It was just if that were Anthony Edwards and anyone else, Anthony Edwards would be like, he'd have been trolling him. You know what I'm saying? Or Embiid would have been trolling. Even
old Embiid, new Embiid doesn't really troll like that.
Yeah, old Embiid.
Young Embiid was having fun. Now the pressure's on him.
Giannis slick trolls people, and that's just not Risacher. That's why I just kind of find it funny. I wish he would troll him just because I'm a messy dude and I like the entertainment, the drama that comes with basketball. But, shout out to Risacher. He's putting it together. Finishing it, the basket is still kind of wild. He throws up some runners that he's still trying to figure out his way, but because he does lack strength. But again, running the floor, cutting to the basket, I'm going to say it every single time. He's in a great situation in Atlanta. He's got a great passer in Trae Young and another very good passer in Jalen Johnson. He just has to knock down open shots. And if he knocks down open shots, he's going to get 4 to 5 like layup opportunities alone playing with those two guys.
Yeah, and if he's knocking down open shots, he should be able to attack the rim on straight line drives. All right, let's switch it up to the Memphis Grizzlies rookies. It's like you can't just say Zach Edey or Jalen Wells. Both are playing well. I was actually surprised that Memphis moved Edey out their starting lineup, but Edey had a chance to go against Donovan Clingan, a rematch of the national championship game. 2 totally different situations. Edey is, for the most part, he's been starting for a Memphis team. Despite being injured, has played very well. They're 7-4, and I don't know how many games they've actually.
Good. Like they have to be like decimated with injuries. I know that losing Ja is a big deal, and losing Bane is a big deal, but like they're so deep that it doesn't even matter. They're always going to be competitive. They just need one guy to play.
They weren't last year.
Say that again?
Last year they were bad.
Yeah, I think that was kind of intentional at a certain point, though.
Yeah, they were bad last year. But Grizzlies are 7-4. Portland is 3-8. The Blazers. I'm a Blazers fan, man.
Hey, man, set a match.
I don't know how you're paying. I don't know what it is per year, but Grant is making $160 million. I don't know how movable that contract is.
And he doesn't want to move.
He doesn't want. He's a guy that I think he just likes getting his shots up. We saw that when he chose to go to Detroit instead of staying in Denver. But Zach Edey came off the bench, and I saw that he didn't start against, I think it was Washington, the game before they decided to go a little smaller. But Edey off the bench in 24 minutes, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, and a block. He got a block at like the last minute against Delano Banton, who was upset with the block. I don't know, maybe Delano was trying to pad his stats, even though he was 4 of 18 from the floor. Yo, my man got up 18 shots in 20 minutes.
Delano Banton was a fantasy basketball gym last year at the end of the year because it was running that 7-man rotation. He was hooping.
Yeah. And then Clingan played 16 minutes, had 13 points. I'm surprised, only 3 rebounds. He's normally getting like it seems like he's getting like 2 rebounds per minute. But he only had 3 rebounds in 16 minutes. And then back to Memphis, Jalen Wells got to start again, 16 points, 5 of 9 from the floor. Jalen Wells continues to impress. But what are your thoughts about Edey versus Clingan?
So Edey is a turnover machine, it looks like. Like, he hasn't figured out how to set screens in the NBA. He had 6 turnovers last night. I think he's still adjusting just to the NBA in general. I think in that game last night against Portland, he looked tired a little bit. It's the first month of the season, running up and down the court, trying to chase these young guys. Maybe that's why he's not starting. I don't know. I haven't seen any particular reason why, but he looked a little tired. And there was one play in particular that stood out. Donovan Clingan, like, flew by him on a rim run. That wasn't Robert Williams. That wasn't DeAndre Ayton. That was another big, heavy, slow-footed, big.
Clingan can run the floor.
Man,
he could run the floor.
Man, he made Clingan look like a gazelle running up and down the court. So, and then also with Clingan, he had 3. He caught 2 lobs on E in pick and roll. Just caught him and drop, banned through him 2 lobs. He dunked 2 of those. But yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it was a matchup. Like, these 2 dudes are who they are. Clingan did have a couple jump hooks. It wasn't nearly the heavyweight matchup that we saw in the championship game, but Edey's still playing well. He just got to figure out the screen situation. He did knock down the trailing 3. I mean, they were up 30 or 40 at the time. I don't really care about you.
That's when you should shoot them.
Yeah, I don't care about you shooting that one. But Portland, man, they gotta start over like soon, man. Nobody's good on this team. Like, nobody. And I mean, I like Shaedon Sharpe. He just came back, but like, nobody is playing well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're 3-8, so the record is bad, but they're not like 1-8 or whatever. But
it's not like the Wizards bad where you're like, hey man, we got something here.
We got 3 rookies starting. Like, the Blazers aren't starting any rookies.
Yeah.
They have guys that are on their 2nd and 3rd contract starting. So that is very, very, very concerning, especially for me as a Blazers fan. But back to Edey. I mean, he just hasn't been missing his last few games. 5 of 7 against Portland, 5 of 8 against Washington. The Lakers game, he only played 15 minutes. He was 3 of 5 from the floor. And then that was after the game against Brooklyn, where he was 11 of 12. In November, Edey is shooting 71.8% from the floor. He's averaging 13.8 points, 8.6 assists, but it's 3.4 turnovers in 22 minutes. Like, every game that he's played in November, except the game against the Nets where he had only 2 turnovers, he's had 3 turnovers or more.
Yeah, and he has far more turnovers than blocks.
Yep.
I have him at 20 turnovers to just 10 blocks. So, but I mean, again, if he's an off the bench guy that's going to, lean on people, has the potential to score 20 because he is so big and he has a good touch around the paint and he finishes everything with Ja, like, you'll take that from him.
Yep, he has a chance to be. I think he has a chance to be Rookie of the Year just because he's on a winning team.
I think Jalen Wells has just as much of an argument.
I do too, but they're going to give it to Edey. If it's a tie, if it's close, they're going to give it to Edey. Because, I mean, he's, like I said, he's going to get his minutes, and the minutes that he plays, he's going to score.
Real quick, Raf, before we wrap it up, Rookie of the Year, 1, 2, 3 right now.
1, 2, 3. I'd have to go. I don't know. That's tough. I mean, I'd say Wells and Edey are in the top 3. Who is number 1? I don't know. I mean, it could be Bub Carrington.
It could. Risacher's averaging 12.
Risacher. I mean, the 33-point game helped.
But then he had 33.
Then he had
17. It up to 6,
so,
and then he had 17. So.
But I'd have to say it's between the 2 guys on the Grizzlies because they're contributing to winning basketball.
Yeah, that's fair. Rookie of the night obviously goes to Jared McCain. 27 points, led his team to a victory, stepped up, heavy minutes. He played well.
Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Remember to check out the Locked On newsletter covering your favorite teams. So whether it's Locked On Grizzlies, Bulls, Lakers, Mavs, The Locked On newsletter will cover your favorite team, and it will be delivered to your inbox every day. So check it out at lockedondaily.com. Also, check out our next episode where James and we're going to share our thoughts on VJ Edgecombe and Nolan Traore. I know it is early, but I want to get James's thoughts on some concerns because they're both kind of struggling. Stay tuned.